Hey YouTube. I was just thinking of this particular situation that happened to me uh, about 3 years ago. And it involved, well, I'll tell you the story and I'll try to keep it short and simple as possible. I had a really good friend who we were so close. I mean, close to the point that we were practically calling each other cousin. That's how close our relationship is. I mean, we could just make a face or just give each other a certain particular look, and we can just automatically tell what that person was thinking without even saying any words. We could finish each other's sentences. That's how close me and this girl was. I have my own particular style. She had her own particular style, but I know sometimes when you're really close with a person, your styles and everything tend to blend in with each other. And I thought at first that I was kind of a little paranoid about the whole thing, but I noticed that as time went by and our relationship got more and more closer, that she started to kind of dress like me, say little things that I would say, and that I was like, all right, well, it's because we're getting so close and so tight that that's just something that kind of happens sometimes. And at the time I was dating this guy, and our relationship did end, but we still remained pretty good friends afterwards. So we would all still go out and hang out and do our thing and everything like that. And one point, he asked me for a favor as far as buying his dog some dog food or something like that. I think he didn't have any money or something like that. So I went ahead and I bought the dog food. And at that time, we had went to the movies, and what I noticed was that he was paying a lot of attention to her when we went to the movies, and I thought that that was strange. And afterwards, she was just also, oh, he this and he that. Like, she was just so in awe of him and everything like that. And it got to the point I was like, well, let me just hurry up and take this girl home because I don't want to say something negative or rude or whatever. So I took her home, and he happened to had followed me, which I didn't know he was following me until afterwards when I came out of the apartment complex, and he was waiting outside. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, well, you forgot to give me your dog food. I was like, all right. So I gave it to him. And then I told him, I was like, I'm getting the strange feeling that maybe she's feeling you or something like that. I was like, I'm through with you and everything like that, so I really don't too much care. I was like, but at the same time, there are rules and boundaries when it comes to friends and dating, the other friends' ex and stuff. It's not a rule that's etched in stone, but I think it's just common sense that people know you don't date your best friend's ex-boyfriend, all kind of things like that. So I just let him know that that was just the vibe that I was getting, and he told me that he was going to talk to her and fix everything. At least that's what I was under the impression of from what he said. Next thing you know, because we were all going to the same college and everything, he was giving her rides to school, and all these things just started getting so crazy, and I was like, okay. So she comes up to me one day and she tells me, oh, I just want to be honest with you and everything, but, I'm kind of feeling your ex-boyfriend and all of this and that, and, we kissed and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, okay, well, that's good for y'all. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, well, you could have at least told me, actually come up and tell me, well, I'm feeling him or whatever like that. And I would have been more than cool with it because I was cool with him. Our relationship never really got very serious or anything like that. So it wouldn't have been nothing to me. But the fact that it was like all going on behind my back, I was kind of like, that's not cool. Both of you are just shady for whatever it is that you guys are doing behind my back right now. But that whole situation came and it went by and it blew over and everything like that. But the more and more time went by, I wasn't as close to her because of that whole situation anymore. We still talked and everything. We hung out once in a while, but we weren't that close. But what I did start to notice was that everything about her started to change. Like what I noticed before, her little things she was mimicking about me. After that whole situation, I noticed that there was more and more things she was mimicking about me. Like, certain things that she would say, certain things that she would do, all of a sudden, down to the type of clothes that I wear, the brands that I wear, the perfume that I wear. It was like all of a sudden she was all into those things, and she was wearing those same things too. And I'm not a person who really does much to my hair. I like to kind of just do my own hair. The most I'll do is like some pigtails or whatever like that and go by my business. But as far as braiding, going to the beauty salon and stuff, I really didn't do. But one day I decided to go ahead and try this one particular style that I saw, and I thought it might look nice on me. And she was telling me, oh, you know, it's not going to look nice. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I went ahead and I did it anyway. And I took it out maybe about 2 weeks later. And then the following week, she came over to my house and she had the same style. And I was like, what's up with that? And I was like, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm getting paranoid again. Maybe she's really not imitating me and copying me the way I'm thinking of. And it was her sister that came up to me and she was like, well, you know, I'm noticing that my sister's doing a lot of things that you do. She's constantly talking about you at the house and everything, about what you do like this and she like this and she's like that and everything. And I see that she's changing and she's looking more and more like you. And I was like, So now I didn't feel so bad because I was like, okay, well, I'm not that paranoid, that maybe it's not me after all. There's someone else who notices the same thing. And then after a while, next thing you know, it was like her mom telling me the same thing. Then it was my mom telling me the same thing, and she noticed that the girl was kind of like imitating me a lot. Then it was like my sister was telling me, then my brother-in-law was telling me. It was like everybody was coming up to me telling me the same thing. And I was like, dang. And then the thing is, like, one day what really like solidified the whole thing to me, I was having a conversation with her and I was telling her, you know, about certain things. And I was like, well, this and that. She was like, yeah, me too. And I was like, such and such and such. Yeah, me too. Such and such. Me too. Me too. Everything was me too, me too, me too. And I was like, damn. She's like the epitome of that song. Like, she's a Me Too girl. She's just everything about me. It's her too, you know. And I was like, oh my goodness. So then I was like, should I really like let her know about herself, or should I just like bounce? So it was a movie, I can't remember the name, that came up on Lifetime. I happen to love watching Lifetime movies. And it was about the same situation that we were going through. You know, they were friends, and all of a sudden her friend was imitating her down to like everything. I mean, even with her, she was imitating me down to like the kind of car that I was driving. When she was shopping around for a car, she wanted the same car that I had. And I was like, listen, you can't get the same car that I had because you don't have that kind of funds. I had that kind of funds that I can get that kind of car, but you don't. You need to get a car that you're able to afford. But she wanted the same car that I wanted and everything. And it was like the movie. They wanted almost the same thing, to the point that she was even wanting the girl's man and everything. And then it was like, okay, well, she figured that the guy wants you because of you, and I'm trying to be like you. And since I can't be like you with you around, then I have to get rid of you. So she tried to kill the girl. And I was like, wow. I said, you know, that's an extreme form of the whole situation. I was like, but I'm not trying to get caught up in that kind of situation. So let me just bounce. So I haven't really spoken to her in the past like year and a half, because I'm just like, I'm not trying to get caught up in that situation. I'm not trying to have that thing go on with me. Let me just bounce and go by my business. So I don't know. That was just like a little story that I wanted to share. And I want to know if anyone else has ever had that situation where there was somebody, a friend of yours, who was imitating you to the point that they were trying to be exactly like you. And how did you deal with the situation? How did you feel? And how did everything play out? You let me know. Okay? Peace.